Dr. Anthony Fauci has announced he will be resigning. Come December, he will be out of the federal government. Now, about a month ago, we got an article from the Washington Post where Fauci was talking about leaving after Biden's first term. He was going to quit. We knew he was. But now he's leaving in December. Interesting. Because you know what happens in January? At least most people expect something to happen in January. The Republicans will take over Congress. And when they do, there likely will be hearings and accountability. Now, Fauci has mentioned something like this in the Washington Post article from last month, that it's going to be like Benghazi hearings endlessly. His resignation suggests internally they are all expecting Republicans to sweep, despite whatever the polls may say, with the Democrats coming out saying Roe v. Wade and how we've got to ramp up and really get out there. You know, Democrats have been improving in the generic ballot. Still, it is looking apocalyptic. But we don't know for sure. And anybody who thinks you've already won, you're the ones who are going to probably lose. Because now is the time to take a look at the context of the past week. Now is the time to see their center will not hold and to storm the gates of those voting booths and vote with your friends. To get as many people as you can to go out and vote, because it's time to win. And it's going to happen. Last week, we got big news. Liz Cheney lost. Oh, she's so salty about it. She lost her primary. That was, I think, Tuesday. Thursday, we got news that Brian Stelter was out. And then everyone started saying, who's the third person going to be? Well, some said maybe Sam Harris. That's right. Because Sam Harris had a viral clip where he basically said, he literally said, Hunter Biden could have the corpses of children in his basement and I would not care, which is just downright bonkers. Sam Harris said a whole bunch of other things. And many people thought, okay, maybe it's going to be him. But is Sam Harris really the icon of Trump derangement syndrome or the left? Not really. But, he said, okay, maybe it's Sam Harris. We now know it's Fauci. Liz Cheney is out. Brian Stelter is out. And Fauci has announced his resignation, all within the span of 1 week. An honorable mention, Sam Harris kind of outed himself as being a lunatic. We have the statement from Anthony Fauci. We've got a bunch of news. Along with Brian Stelter leaving CNN, CNN apparently wants to be more centrist. Good, they should be. And this is resulting in a call for a boycott. Uh-oh. Anthony Fauci also says he's not retiring, he's just resigning. And Liz Cheney is launching a political action committee or group of some sort, kind of like the Lincoln Project, I'd imagine. The Great Task, I believe it's called. So wait a minute. My friends, the enemy is routed. We can see that many of their prominent figures are losing and leaving. And this means now more than ever, you need to focus on the primaries, the midterms that are coming up in November. I don't know how many primaries are left, but the midterms are coming up in less than 3 months. Now's the time to go tell every one of your friends, tell every member of your family, get ready to go out. Early voting is going to start soon in some places. And mail-in voting, you can go knock on doors. Fauci, Stelter, and Cheney, they're not quitting. They're losing these positions, but they're going to keep going. And that means while there may be some major culture war victories here, and boy, do I got an announcement for all of you, it's not over. And it'll never be over, to be completely honest. There are no ends. And I would say the ends never justify the means, because you'll never meet the ends. But that means today we must stand by what we believe in, call out corrupt individuals and corrupt government officials. And when they're out, don't just say, yay, we did it and leave. Now's your chance. With their retirement, they are losing influence and power. Now is the opportunity. Let's read the news, my friends. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member, click that join us button right there on the left. Support our work. You'll get access to our exclusive Timcast IRL uncensored shows Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. The Cast Castle vlog Tuesday at 7. Tales from the Inverted World Sundays at 10 a.m. And of course, Chicken City is always free. And Pop Culture Crisis is as well. But we've got a new announcement coming up this week, the launching of Timcast Records. We're going to be producing music. And we've got our first single, and it's mostly because I make music, but with Carter Banks producing our music, we're going to have new singles, we're going to be signing bands, and we are going to be producing some epic music. We got an article about it too, because it does intertwine with what's going on with Anthony Fauci and winning the culture war. Because, my friends, let this be another white pill day. Victory is at hand. November. This will be the great moment when we go out and we vote. We take Congress, and then maybe we'll see some accountability. Now, I got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this Republican Party, but I am a fan of many of these America First Republicans who are coming in and hopefully will do something. From timcast.com, NewsGuard certified, don't you forget it. Dr. Anthony Fauci announces he will step down in December. Fauci denied he was planning to retire in July. He still says he's not going to retire. Dr. Anthony Fauci announced he will leave his current position with the federal government in December. Quote, "It has been the honor of a lifetime to have led the NIAID, an extraordinary institution for so many years, and through so many scientific and public health challenges. I am very proud of our many accomplishments," Fauci said in a statement released by the NIAID. "I have worked with and learned from countless talented and dedicated people in my own laboratory and at NIAID and NIH and beyond. To them, I express my abiding respect and gratitude." Fauci said that he will not be retiring. Instead, he intends to pursue the next phase of his career and advance science and public health and to inspire and mentor the next generation of scientific leaders as they help prepare the world to face future infectious disease threats. I wonder what that means. Maybe he'll start a foundation. Maybe he'll go work at the World Health Organization. You see, there may be good news in Fauci and these other people leaving their positions, but they will get picked up somewhere. It doesn't just end overnight. He said, Fauci will not be retiring. He'll be pursuing the next phase of his career. "Thanks to the power of science and investments in research and innovation, the world's been able to fight deadly diseases and help save lives around the globe. I am proud to have been a part of this important work and look forward to helping to continue to do so in the future." Fauci has led the NIAID since 1984. He has worked under 7 presidents and credited the nation's response to a number of serious threats to public health, including AIDS, Ebola, Zika, and most recently COVID-19. Fauci told the Washington Post that the past 2.5 years have been some of the most difficult of his career, in part due to the intense attention his public statements received and the divisive state of national politics. "It was one of the most important challenges that we have had to face, and I believe my team and I, and let history be the judge of that, have made a major contribution," Fauci said. "We didn't do it alone, but we played a major role in the development of the vaccines and have now saved millions of lives." In July, Fauci told Politico he planned to retire at the end of President Joe Biden's term. He denied the report the day after its publication. And it's right here. Fauci says he will retire from government by the end of Biden's term, July 18th, 2022. Quote, "By the time we get to the end of the Biden administration term, I feel it would be time for me to step down from this position." Fauci's decision to retire by 2025 was first reported by Politico, full stop. Yeah, that wasn't true, was it? Or maybe it was, and Fauci ultimately just bailed out. Quote, "I do want to do other things in my career, even though I'm at a rather advanced age," Fauci said on CNN, adding that he has the energy and the passion to keep working after the federal service. Now, here's where it all comes down to. Simply put, this is fear, in my opinion, of accountability. Current GOP lawmakers, including Paul and Jordan, have vowed to open probes into the NIAID director if Republicans win control of one or both chambers of Congress in November. Fauci in March told the Post that he was alarmed by the possibility of Republicans retaking Congress and launching investigations into his work. Why? What did you do, Fauci? If you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to hide, eh? Now, I don't really favor that kind of thinking, but you work for the government. So the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to you. The government should be scrutinized. What's the problem, you coward? Running away before they can dig into your dirty work? That's right. When you are a member of the government, you do not have a First Amendment right. You do not have a Fourth Amendment protection. No, it's the inverse. We have a right to accountability and a redress of grievances, I got it, from our government. If you worked for the government and we want to inquire as to what you did, that is what the public has the right to do. You work for the people, not the other way around. Quote, "It's Benghazi hearings all over again," Fauci said then, referring to the GOP-led investigations of Hillary Clinton's leadership and They'll try to beat me up in public and there'll be nothing there, Fauci added, but it'll distract me from doing my job the way it's doing right now. Oh, you want to work in government without any scrutiny? I even favor scrutiny of Donald Trump, just not fake. The fake news, the lies, and the manipulations. I'll give you some examples. I love giving examples that I mention all the time. Trump wanting to have the G7 at Doral, his golf course. No, thank you. No. We're not doing that. And public scrutiny led him to stopping that. Advertising Trump properties on the State Department website, scrutiny led to that being stopped. There are things Trump did that needed to be called out. Missile strikes into Syria, big mistake. But the lies, Russiagate, Ukrainegate, insanity. Now January 6th. Sorry, Fauci, you don't get to avoid public scrutiny. Because I'll tell you this, even if you're gone, the Republicans better still investigate and inquire. And I want to talk about winning with a little shout out over to timcast.com. The post-millennial with the exclusive, Tim Pool drops new single with canceled drummer Pete Parada. Parada was ousted from The Offspring last year after drumming with the group for 14 years after he refused the COVID-19 vaccine. Refuse is one way to say it. The other is that he has a likelihood or he does have Guillain-Barré syndrome, and his doctor advised him not to get the vaccine. And The Offspring just fired him. Now, this is a bit of a personal story because clearly it is a song that I wrote. Carter Banks produced and put together and performed as well. And Pete Parada performed the drums for us. And, I'll just come out and say, look, you know what we want to do? We want to challenge the system. We want to say no, and we want to create a space for those who push back. Pete Parada did nothing wrong. He was playing the drums. The Offspring said, you got to get the vax because the venues require it. I said, I can't. My doctor says I can't get it. And they said, you're fired then. I mean, that's just outright crazy. After 14 years, that's insane to me. I'd never do anything like that. That's insane. And not only that, the vax mandates have ended at these venues. Pete has played at these venues. They still haven't offered him his job back. Isn't that insane? So you know what we did? I'm not going to get into the full details of the article. I just want to mention the victories that are coming our way. With Fauci's resignation, with Cheney being ousted, with Stelter being ousted. I see someone like Pete, and I was shocked. I mean, for one, big fan of The Offspring. At least in terms of their music, not their politics. Surprisingly, not anymore. And then I'm just like, we're not going to stand for this, man. So I said, buddy, will you play drums with us? We'd be honored. And he said, yes. And there we go. And we got new music coming out because you can't stop us. Canceling doesn't do it. It won't work. You can't silence us. You can't put us down. We're going to make that music. We got Pete. We're lucky to have him. I can't believe The Offspring walked away from such an amazing talent. But we're going to make sure that we keep going. Timcast.com, for instance, we use Parallel Economy, a financial transaction service co-founded by Dan Bongino. We will not stand for this censorious authoritarian trash. And so this is another little grain of sand in that mound of white pill. We are not going to lose this. The night is always darkest before the dawn. Things may get worse, but we are still winning, shoring up our defenses, and we're moving forward. Check out the song this Friday, the 26th. We're going to be publishing it over at Timcast Records on YouTube. Big promotional campaign. We got billboards up in Times Square already. We are going to take that hill of culture in this country. Daily Wire is storming the gates of Hollywood, producing this content, hiring a Disney executive as their CMO. We are going to push back and say, if you want this insane authoritarian agenda, you will lose. Bye, Fauci. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. From Yahoo Entertainment and The Wrap, CNN centrist move triggers call to boycott CNN new corporate oligarchy. Brian Stelter is oh so angry. He's gone. Here's the article from The Guardian. Brian Stelter rebukes CNN on final show. It's not partisan to stand up to demagogues. Yeah, Brian. One of the worst people on TV with some of the lowest ratings. It's amazing. Reliable Sources has been on CNN for almost 30 years until Brian Stelter came in and engaged in sophistry and destroyed it. It's not only his fault. It's also Zucker, who's also gone. CNN wants to be centrist. I'm not a fan of what that word means anymore, because by any political standard, I would be a centrist, but by the modern culture war standard, I'm on the right, which I don't see as making sense other than left and right just mean, do you believe in the truth or do you not believe in the truth? It really is that simple. Brian Stelter's ethos was, don't go and watch the other networks, come to us instead. CNN, I think it might have been Tapper, when he said, you can't read the WikiLeaks emails. You can't read those. Only we're allowed to because we're journalists. Lying to you. That's left wing? Fine. Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks, I did a segment about them. They came out and they were like, hey, it's really bad that people are committing violent crimes and then not getting arrested and being released if they are. And the left said, you're propping up the police state. Called them fake leftists. That's what it means to be left wing. Sorry, that's insane. But that's what it is, I guess. If you're on the side of pushing lies from people like Brian Stelter, when he says, don't go watch the other networks, you're left wing, I suppose. It's not partisan to stand up to demagogues. I tell people, make sure you watch it all. You should watch Brian Stelter. See what he has to say. Then come watch us, go watch Tucker, and see who's telling you the truth. See who's lying. I think there's a simple answer in a lot of this. The Young Turks, they get a lot wrong. But you can see there have been several instances where Anna Kasparian has actually been granted access to the correct information. Say on Kyle Rittenhouse when she came out and said, I was wrong about that. I looked at the footage and I realized something. I was wrong. Or now when she's calling out that these criminals are being released. I completely agree. Bravo to Anna. I will give respect to anybody who says something correct and then adjust their opinion accordingly. But this is what left and right means these days. So as for CNN's move to be centrist, what does that really mean? I actually think this is something really, really good, and this is one of the biggest victories we'll see. As much as we all may mock CNN for being a trash network that hates Trump, those days may be over. I mean, Stelter's gone. They're talking about getting rid of many other people. Don Lemon, maybe, Jim Acosta. Zucker's already gone. CNN is the go-to place, according to the institutions, because they're biased. When a big story breaks, they turn on CNN. If CNN makes a centrist move, it may actually correct the record on what centrist really means. And we may find ourselves in an interesting position. News breaks. Donald Trump does backflip. MSNBC has Rachel Maddow's special bank. Donald Trump didn't do a backflip. It was CGI. Fox News comes out and says, there's a video of him doing it, I guess. And what does CNN say? Here's the video, in fact. That's what centrist is. Tucker Carlson has his opinions. But as a network, Fox News just reports the news for the most part. And to be fair, CNN to a certain degree did as well. But they just started running panels. Panel. Forum. Trump. That's all it was. Where's the news? Start reporting on what's happening in other countries, like Fox was doing. You'll be surprised to see this will force MSNBC and other networks to try and change their game. Or, the funniest thing here, we got this from Brooklyn Dad Defiant, tweeting, stop watching CNN, boycott CNN. Russell L. Hunter says, it's been reported the new chief at CNN has met privately with Republican members of Congress recently to get their views on how CNN might be more accommodating to Republican positions when airing the news on CNN. This report should not be a surprise. Both sides, CNN. That's what they think. The left is going to say that CNN is becoming right-wing grifters. Fine. I don't care. Let CNN become right-wing grifters. You know what CNN probably realized? I bet somebody walked into the room and they were like, hey, you know how our ratings are in the gutter and nobody likes Brian Stelter? Look at this Tim Pool guy over here. He's got 2 podcasts that are growing and getting really big, and he's launching shows just on his own with his company. No institutional investors, no external financing. Our funding comes straight from our members, people who pay for content and for our sponsorships, but mostly just the members. You think CNN didn't realize that? When CNN Plus went up in flames, they said, how can this be? We were doing the membership model like everybody else. How is it that I'm one dude, started Timcast, hired people, hired more people, got some of the most talented MFers working at this company, producing epic content like Tales from the Inverted World, Pop Culture Crisis, and the music we're putting together. and CNN could not muster it up. It's because these people don't live in a world of merit like the rest of us. They don't. They live in a world of equity, and that's what they're going for. They're going for this world where, everyone is equal no matter what. Insane ideology based on collectivism instead of talent. Maybe CNN finally realized it. It's not working. Pandering to these people doesn't work. So now they're going to say, well, CNN's going to start doing a right-wing grift. Yeah, great. It'll be really funny when 90% of this country is a right-wing grift. This is the best part. They say Tim Pool is right-wing. And it's like I'm sitting down having a debate with a pro-life or how I'm pro-choice. That's how it is these days. Unless you support this nonsense, you're right-wing. Brian Stelter is oh so angry. On his final show, he said, it is not partisan to stand up for decency and democracy and dialogue. Dialogue? Did you have any opposition on your show ever, Brian? Come on. To be fair, he had some critics come on his show, and he took it when they criticized him. But these were typically like moderate left voices. He said, we must make sure we do not give a platform to those who are lying to our faces. Well, hold on a minute. This is paradoxical. Are you actually okay with you being fired from your job? You're lying right now. Oh, it's a paradox. Well, Brian, we took your advice and we took away your platform because you are lying to our faces. Okay, maybe he's not lying. Maybe he's just really bad at his job. That's a strong possibility. Really bad at his job. And so he was getting things wrong all the time. There are many stories over the past few years that he got wrong. There are many weird ideas he had. And there were the most egregious of statements was when he would tell people not to watch other networks. That is mostly what bothered me. No, you should be telling people to watch other networks, to get their information straight. Trying to understand what's really going on. But you know what the issue was? What he wanted was ratings. And by telling you don't touch that dial, back when TVs had dials, he's telling you, don't leave, I need your ratings. I never started doing any of this stuff for ratings. When I started this channel, I was getting like 2,000 views. And then when we launched, I launched this in February, I think 2017 with Last Night in Sweden. I was getting millions of views for over 2 weeks on this vlog. And then it dropped down to like 20 to 50,000 views. And when I started doing commentary, it was like 20 to 50,000, usually around 25,000 views. And then I was like, wow, 25,000 people to come hear you speak for 10 minutes every day. That's what I was doing. It's like filling a stadium briefly and saying, have a nice day. But I was making a living. And then I was like, this is cool. And I've always been a talker. That's what I would do in my live streams. I just talk for several hours. So I started to make more and more content. And more people started watching. Look, I get on average, I think like 250,000 views per video that I produce. Timcast IRL averages like 400K on the podcast. And then I think it's like 100K on the clips. That's pretty good. I could come out here and be like, why aren't I getting millions of views like some of these other podcasts? It ain't about that. I think y'all should watch whatever you can. You should be watching, other channels. You should be watching. I always shout out, Crowder, Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. And I think it's because Crowder's a bit more conservative. Sticks is a bit more libertarian and more of a Trump supporter. And, shout out to Kyle Kalinske, who I think gets things wrong a lot. But Breaking Point's also good shows. I think you got to mix up your news diet because I have a myopic view sometimes. I get things wrong. But don't listen to people when they tell you not to watch other outlets. Don't listen to people like this guy. What I mean to say is listen to his show and the words he says, but don't take them too hard when he tells you to stop listening to other people. That's dirty. I want you to know what he's saying. But don't trust him if he's telling you not to listen to other people. That's the craziest thing. Or you know what? I shouldn't even say that. Trust him if you think he's telling you the truth. And if you think I'm lying, fine, so be it. I think you should know what we're all saying. Here's a guy who doesn't want you to know what other people are saying, though. Next up on the list is Liz Cheney. She says Hawley Cruz made themselves unfit for future office. Unfit? You're the one who's out of office, lady. They're the ones still in office. The Wall Street Journal reports Liz Cheney says new political group will target Trump allies. Oh, will it? The representative formed the new PAC shortly after her GOP primary loss last week, and that explains it. Why didn't she resign? Why didn't she retire? like so many others. Why did she try and stick to a fight she knew she could not win? Oh, she wanted to fundraise. I wonder what for. Well, she's thinking about running for president. Maybe that will happen. The Wall Street Journal says Liz Cheney said on Sunday that her political focus after leaving Congress would go beyond challenging former President Donald Trump's hold in the Republican Party. Quote, I'm going to be very focused on working to ensure that we do everything we can not to elect election deniers. We've got election deniers that have been nominated for really important positions all across the country, and I'm going to work against those people. I'm going to work to support their opponents. Okay. I don't see Liz Cheney going after every single Democrat who claimed Donald Trump stole the election or Russia helped him, which was just nonsense. I'm not a fan of 2020 election deniers. 2020 is a funny thing because there are people who you need to really get into what people are talking about. Some people think that there was a bunch of fake ballots came from China, that there were servers from Venezuela or gunfights in Germany. Nonsense. All nonsense. Now the narrative is being mostly revised. Well, it was ballot harvesting. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Well, there's an argument that makes sense. That's in the realm of reality. People going around and collecting ballots from nursing homes is a very serious claim, and there is some circumstantial evidence. Do I think it's definitively true? I don't know. I think the reality is in 2020, Joe Biden got a bunch of votes, and it's that simple. And there's a lot of people who don't want to acknowledge it. And I'll tell you this to put it very, very simply. Liz Cheney, she's lying. Okay, there's no way she's ignorant of the fact that Democrats did the exact same thing. Nah, she's just grifting. That's what it's all about. But there are a lot of people who believe crazy things about 2020, and I'll tell you this right now. This is why it really grinds my gears. We are looking at a major victory from all these primaries of America First Republicans. They won. If it really was rigged the way people thought it was, Liz Cheney would have won. She didn't. And a lot of people thought it was possible. They were like, the machine will not let her lose. Who knows? So many people were convinced that everything was broken. And then in Arizona, Carrie Lake wins. And then Joe Kent wins. And then Liz Cheney loses. I'm telling you, my friends, winning is entirely possible. And these people do not have the kind of grip you think they do. I don't mean you as in literally everybody, but they're the people who genuinely believe this. Had Nick Searcy on IRL, and he was like, oh, they cheated. And it's like, bro, Trump won in 2016. Yeah, well, in 2020, I'm like, dude, in 2020, they locked the country down. There were no sports. There were no movies. There were no video game tournaments. Everything was shut down. Skate park companies that I was talking to were like, we can't build anything. That's my world. And I'm like, that's crazy. What do you think happens when they dump all the sand in skate parks and nobody's going skating? Their blood is boiling. They're going nuts. And then the TV comes on and says, it's all Trump's fault. You think that didn't work? Now, don't get me wrong, man. I've seen this stuff from 2000 Mules. I want to see investigations, but I think you need to realize plain and simply, your vote matters. Your vote will get you the victory. Fauci, Cheney, Stelter, out. They're not going away for good. And we got more big news. Schiff is making moves to replace Pelosi as speaker if she steps back after midterms. Even Pelosi might be out. Now is the time to realize we are winning. I don't like the Republican establishment. I don't like the Democratic establishment. I like a lot of the libertarian guys. The Mises Caucus is fantastic, and they've taken over. I don't like Pelosi. I don't like Schiff. But boy, are they breaking down, falling apart. Pelosi could be out. That could be the fourth major loss. The establishment uniparty, they're crumbling. I don't like the defeatism. You win in November. Fauci gets investigated. You get inquiries into whatever election stuff you're concerned about. Reform, whatever it may be. But this means you have to believe you can win. You have to know that you can win. And you have to recognize these people don't have the power that so many think they do. You know, I've heard some arguments. I think that the special election in Georgia in 2020, or was this 2021? It was January. I believe that Democrats won it because Donald Trump kept claiming there was fraud. And then people didn't vote. And you see what happens when you chase that narrative. My favorite conspiracy theory is that Democrats like the argument. They like the theories. And they want the Republicans pushing it because it helps them win. That's the real conspiracy, right? I'm kidding. I'm obviously, They probably hold that sentiment. Not that I think they're actually engaging in any kind of behavior to encourage it other than talking about it. I think the reality is believe in yourself, believe you can win, and you can. Carrie Lake, Hageman. These are the people winning. Joe Kent winning. Carrie Lake winning in Arizona is a huge victory for people who want to see inquiries into the election. Fine, whatever. Do your inquiries. But you got to believe you can win an election before that even happens. This is where we're going. Nancy Pelosi could be out next. The only way that happens, Republicans win. Now, right now, the Republicans have a 0.2 generic ballot advantage, according to Real Clear Politics. 538 has Democrats up. This is still apocalyptic for Democrats. Typically, when they're at 5 points above and they lose, when they're at 5 points above the generic ballot, they lose. Right now, with it being split, this signifies there's going to be a massive shift, a massive boon for the Republican Party in Congress and the Senate. This will jam up the last 2 years of Biden's presidency, but it'll also allow subpoena power. Members of Congress and committees will be able to file subpoenas and call in hearings, kind of like the January 6th committee. Maybe we need something like that on Joe Biden. Maybe we need a Ukraine hearing about what he was doing. And Rick Santorum said we shouldn't impeach him because it's only for what you did as president. And my response is, how about giving billions of dollars to Ukraine? I want to know what that's all about. You got to win if you got to do it. I genuinely believe the system has its problems, but it works enough to the point where you can win. The problems is like the Democrats and the Republicans complain about different things. Democrats say the right is voter suppression. The right says that there's issues with fraud. The left even claimed there was fraud in 2016. Everybody wants to claim the rules are busted. And you know what? We're constantly trying to change things. It's always in flux. Universal mail-in voting expanded, greatly helping Democrats. That's what I think helped them win in 2020. But that was Republicans doing it. There's questions about the legality and constitutionality of executive branches in the states changing voter rules. Probably be some lawsuits over that. What needs to happen right now is you need to make sure, as you did with Carrie Lake and with Hageman, that they will defeat those who would stand in the way of real accountability. And you see, when you came out to vote, it worked. Because they're not as powerful as you think they are. So this November, grab a couple of your friends. Grab 5 of your friends or more, or 10, and go out and vote. Go out and vote, and then you'll get the answers to the questions you seek. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. tonight over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.